Okay, so what I'm going to do here now, I'm going to do some prep work for tonight's dinner. And tonight's dinner is going to be a very special one. It's one of my favourite recipes. It was taught to me by a very dear friend, Saltbush Bill. I'll never forget this one, it's a beauty. Very easy to do, corned beef, baked steam method. Not boiled. A lot of people will put theirs in there in a broth of some kind and boil it, and that's their corned beef or their silver side. This method uses steam and it uses a roasting heat on the top. Okay, so let's get our meat out and have a look. As you can see, it's a beautiful cut of meat. Nice big. This one here is about 2.5 to 3 kilos. It's quite a large lump, I guess. Not for me. I often cook these things in lumps of 8 to 10 kilos. That's how I like to cook meat, big lumps of meat. Now, what I look for in this cut of meat, and this is a very nice example, I'm looking for a nice thick layer of fat, because I want that nice fat there, because I'm going to put some sugar on that, and that's important. And I like it to be fairly flat on top. The pointy ones are hard to get the effect that I'm looking for, and that is, this is going to be facing up to the camp oven. The camp oven lid is going to have quite a lot of heat on it, and the sugar that I'm going to put over here, that heat is going to blast down and caramelize the sugar and the fat together, and underneath we're going to be generating steam, and that's going to be on a rolling boil, and it'll have some flavors in it as well. So the combination of the caramelization of the sugars and what's going on underneath, cook it for a couple of hours, and I'll tell you what, the most extraordinary piece of corned beef you'll ever eat. Well, anyway, I'll get all the sugar on here now. You can put this on the night before, you can put it on an hour before, you can put it on right at the last minute. But, I prefer to put it on and give it time so that it's got time to sort of blend in there a little bit. And that's the way, nice and hard. Plenty of it, don't be frightened of it. All right, that's going to do meat. A little bit down the side there maybe. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in the esky now. It'll be in there for about 6 hours, and then I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to commence the cooking operation on that. Okay, so I've got my corned beef out of the esky. It's ready to go. I'm just going to mix up my brewing here into this Metters 14-inch camp oven I've got going over here. Starting with some brown vinegar. Basically I'm aiming at about 50-50 with vinegar and water. I'll just put this little bit in. Yep, it's going to take all that. It might even be enough. I might need this other one. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a trivet in here. I've got a couple of egg rings in here to hold this trivet up a bit high, because this is only a really shallow one. This is one of the very few times you'll ever see me using a trivet. It's for this recipe. When I'm cooking the roast beef and roast chooks and roast pork, I always cook directly on the floor of the camp oven. I don't believe in putting them on a trivet, and because I like to make a sauce out of that juice that goes onto the bottom. People will get a bit worried about using trivets and not using them because they think if they cook on the floor they're going to burn their meat to the bottom of the camp oven. Don't worry about that. Manage your heat a bit better and cook it on the floor and make some nice gravy and sauce out of that later on. But anyway, so I'm using a trivet now today for this corned beef because I only want to put about that much liquid in the bottom of this camp oven. I'm not going to bury my meat in the liquid at all. It's going to be sitting there just above or just on top of the surface of the liquid, and I'm going to get that liquid boiling, and it's going to steam, and it's going to be cooking by steam, and it's going to be cooking by the heat on the lid roasting it down. Okay, I'm just going to add some more water to water that vinegar down a touch, bring up the level of the liquid. Right, that's pretty much spot on level with the top of the trivet there. And over there. So now to that liquid I'm going to add some peppercorns. A handful of peppercorns makes a big difference. So I'm just going to put that into the liquid, wiggle it around. I've got some bay leaves here. No one really knows what bay leaves do, but they do something because they bring something to the table. I don't know what it is, but I don't count them in. I usually put in half a dozen. There's plenty of them in there now. And that's pretty much all I need to put in there. There's other things you can put in. You can put in a bit of garlic. You can throw in some juniper berries. I pretty much just stick to that. It's basic recipe. It doesn't really need anything else. It's pretty good the way it is. I lift my meat out and stick it on that trivet. There like that. Sugar side up. Well, that's a nice piece of meat, Dad. I can't wait to eat this. Okay, so that's pretty much ready to go right now. Simple as that. Vinegar, bay leaves, peppercorns, sugar on top of that, fat on the corned beef, baking and steaming. We're going to get some heat underneath this oven now, just enough to get that liquid on a rolling boil. So, and I'll keep an eye on that. If the liquid starts dropping off, I'll add a little bit more liquid. That's all right throughout the cook. But I'm going to keep it on a rolling boil, producing steam, and I'm going to have a fair bit of heat. Won't be a lot with this Gidgee wood, but I'll have a hot, high temperature lid blasting down on this sugar here, and that's all going to caramelize. And it might even look a bit black, but that's okay. That's all part of the recipe. And believe me, the black bits on top are going to be the best bits anyway. I better put this lid on. Yeah, well, camp ovens are very good at creating steam pressure. So, you know, that's why the corned beef recipe works. I mean, most people think corned beef is like boiled in a big pot full of boiling water. But steam will do the same thing. It's all about the temperature. So yeah, you've got all that steam action happening on the corned beef and then that roasting from the top. And yeah, it's an interesting way of doing it. And I'm certainly glad I was taught, because it's one of my favourite ways of cooking corned beef. Okay, so the corned beef has been cooking down here, baking and steaming for the last couple of hours. I'm going to have a look. I think it'll be very, very close. So I'll show you how I actually tell whether it's ready to eat or not. I'll use one of these wooden skewers, and I'll just lift off the lid and have a look. Oh, that looks pretty good to me. The very black bits there, that's fine. That's actually quite normal. That's just from the sugar caramelizing. And it should go through without any resistance. Oh, that's lovely. Straight through. I can push it through without pushing too hard at all. So that's ready to go. Okay, we're going to lift him out and have a look. Baked steamed corned beef, and that's going to go on some lovely homemade bread rolls. And there's nothing wrong with that, is there? How good's that?